I'm standing about 50 metres from Checkpoint Charlie on what would have been the western side, West Berlin, at one stage during the height of the Cold War. There's Checkpoint Charlie just down there. I haven't been there yet, but so called because there was a Checkpoint Alpha, Checkpoint Beta, Checkpoint Charlie, but Checkpoint Charlie was the most popular because this is where the dignitaries used to travel through. So this side here, the western side, was during the Cold War, after the Second World War, was occupied by the United States, French and British soldiers. And the other side was Russian soldiers, well, the US Federation, Union of Soviet Socialist Republic. They occupied the other side. And I was reading a program the other day about how at the height of the tensions, there were a string of tanks right about where I'm standing now, facing Checkpoint Charlie, ready to return fire if they were fired upon. This is when tensions between President Kennedy and Khrushchev were at their highest. And Kennedy, he said, when asked about the wall, he said, well, it's better to have a wall than a war. And they didn't consider it. The United States, who were the primary defenders of West Berlin, or occupiers, they had just a little simple, I'm going to stop drinking in the mornings, they had a little simple building, which I'll show you in a moment. As well on the Russian side, they had steel bunker and zigzag wires, and well, the United States didn't consider it an international border, and rightly so. I think the Cold War was just a very unfortunate follow-on from the Second World War. Anyway, I'm pretty excited to be at Checkpoint Charlie. There you go, Checkpoint Charlie. You see it in many, many, many movies. Very historically significant place during the Cold War, and world tensions kind of simmered at this particular place. Sometimes it's good to come to these places and try and strip back the layers of what's been built in the last umpteen years, like in McDonald's, and that's a relatively new building. Try and take a couple of minutes to sit back and relax and try and visualise what took place here a long time ago. How cool is this building behind me? This is the Pergamon Museum in Berlin, and high on the list of things that I wanted to see when I came to Berlin is inside this building. The 8th gate to the old citadel of Babylon, the Ishtar Gate, built by Nebuchadnezzar in the 6th century BC. A problem about it's the actual gate, they brought it up here brick by brick. I don't want to get into the politics as to why it's here, but it is being preserved for all of us to appreciate. And the problem with researching Nebuchadnezzar is he was an actual historical character, but a lot that we learn about him comes from the Christian Bible. And the unfortunate thing about that is that, thanks mate, the unfortunate thing about that is that in the Christian Bible, it is like billions of people around the world believe it's mythology. So contrary to what the Christian Bible may tell you in the book of Daniel or the book of Jeremiah, Nebuchadnezzar's hair, I do not believe it grew into feathers. I do not believe that his nails and toenails grew into an eagle's talons. So it's a challenge to try and get the reality out of the story. Postscript. In the Christian Bible starts with, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and God's spirit moved across the water. Now this is before he created light, and you need light so that you have helium and hydrogen to confuse into heavier elements like oxygen, and you can't have water without oxygen. So it's the third sentence into the Christian Bible where we start to wonder whether it is in reality actually just mythology. And there she is, the actual Ishtar Gate. These actual stones were brought here from the 8th gate of Babylon. Ishtar was a goddess of love and war, and she watched over Babylon along with Hadad, who was the god of weather, the weather god, and that's him represented in a bull, and Madar. Come on, brother, you can do it. German women. Not celebrating the bloke, but this is the exact location where Adolf Hitler delivered most of his speeches. Luftgarten Square. I don't know what those trees are. They drop a husk that looks like that. I've never seen anything like it. Yeah, this hat's cool. You know, I'm out for a walk. The Berlin Wall used to run all the way along this side here, and then across the Marshall Brook Bridge, and then head back down this side of the Spree River. There's a memorial down here, and then they make an acute turn. Very sharp acute turn, head back up in between those buildings. But I have absolutely googled the heck out of this bridge, and I can't find images of what the wall looked like when it ran across it, or whether it actually did physically run across it. We're always saying that the Berlin Wall made that acute turn and jutted up and head up between two buildings. Was these buildings behind me here, and then this is the Brandenburg Gate. This is a symbol of unity and peace. Well, ever since the Berlin Wall got pulled down, because the wall came up behind here and then there was another one in front, so they were essentially blocking this, so nobody from east or west was able to access that gate. And these young girls are about to do some form of protest. I don't know what it is, but good luck to them. I want to show you a thing called the Bebelplatz Underground Library and Memorial. I just found it. Somewhere in this square is the underground library. It was on this place, on this spot, where during the Second World War they burnt 20,000 Jewish books, and back in 1995 an Israeli artist created a monument, which is an underground library that can store like 20,000 books. There's a car park under here, and using that car park they access this in order to clean it twice a year. And I'm going to turn the camera around and give you a look. It's pretty impressive.
The books bits and metal.
I wonder how often we watch footage of the Nazis marching up and down this road, because that's the Brandenburg Gate down at the end, and if you travel up here and then turn left, very close to the cathedral there, right next to it is the Alten Museum, and that's where Hitler used to give a lot of his speeches from. So, beer in a vending machine. Take me now, I've seen it all. Well, this is the walk on the way to Wittenberg Cathedral. This is built up with houses on either side. This is just a really nice walk and a nice day for it. Well, I made it. I'm in the middle of Germany, and I've come to this little town in the middle of nowhere. Beautiful little town, glorious day for it, having a picnic out the front of. This is Wittenberg Castle and / cathedral, and I'll tell you the relevance of it in a moment, because if you've got an interest in history, you'd have to have an interest in religious history as well to fully appreciate human history. And this place is relevant because it's at a very big sliding doors moment, and there have been a number of big sliding doors moments in religious history, like when Emperor Constantine made the official religion of the Roman Empire Catholicism after his battle at the Milvian Bridge in northern Italy. I spoke about it the other day in one of my videos. And then after that they formed the Council of Nicaea, and it was at that council that they decided on the Trinity, the Father, Son and the Holy Ghost. And it was also when they decided that Jesus Christ was an anthropomorphic human being born to a virgin, as opposed to, up until that time, the Arians were claiming that he was a divinely created creature. So it occurred to them 330 odd years after his death that he was a human being born to a virgin. And then in 567, Bishop Athanasius, he was entrusted with the job of deciding what books were going to go into the New Testament. At the Fifth Ecumenical Council in Istanbul in 553 AD, they decided that Mary was a virgin. I will digress on that point. Romulus and Remus were born of a Vestal virgin. Isis was a virgin, she gave birth to Horus. Huitzilopochtli was born when his mother caught a ball of feathers from the sky and hid them in her breast. Buddha was born out of a slit in his mother's side. Athena was born out of Zeus's head. Religion and mythology tend to have the birth canal as a one-way street. I'm not the first one to have noticed that. Another sliding doors moment was when the Prophet Muhammad in 610 AD crawled into a cave in Mount Hira, and he was spoken to by the Archangel Gabriel. And when he came out of there, the important sliding doors part of it is that he spoke to his wife Khadijah, who took him to see her uncle Waraq ibn Nufal, who was familiar with the Judeo and Christian texts, and he was the one who told the Prophet Muhammad that you are the last messenger from God. Another one was when the Church of England was formed, when King Henry VIII asked the Pope for permission to divorce his wife Catherine of Aragon. The Pope declined, so he performed the dissolution of the monasteries, and the Church of England was born. They peeled away from the papacy. The early 1500s was a very busy time for Christianity. Cortez and the Spanish conquistadors arrived in Mesoamerica, the Aztec Empire, and conquered Mexico in 1519, which changed the landscape of South America forever. But brings me to my point here. This is, like I said, it's Wittenberg Cathedral, and Martin Luther, founder of Lutheranism, began the Reformation in this exact location. On the 31st of October 1517, he nailed his 95 Theses to the door of Wittenberg Cathedral. It's around the other side there, but I couldn't find a spot to sit down, relax and have a picnic. But I'll show you a photo and a video of the door, well, a replica of the door, because the door burnt down in the 1700s and a replica got built. So I'll show you the exact location where that door was and the replica of the door, which is now there. But he was protesting, well, it was the birth of Protestant, you know what I'm trying to say. And he was protesting the sale of indulgences. What that means in lay terms is, if I committed a sin, the church will ask me for $100. I pay that, they can expedite my path into heaven. They can forgive me of sin. They were selling the passage to heaven. So and the three key points of Luther's 95 Theses was, because it was all in Latin, it was sola gratia, sola fide, and sola scriptura, which is faith, grace, and scripture. And it's by those three alone that he claims you made your way into heaven. And although I don't believe in any gods, he's not far off. It doesn't make much sense, even to the faith base, that you could pay another human being money and they'll help expedite your way into heaven. That one made absolutely no sense. And by the way, you may have noticed that that date was Halloween, probably before Halloween was really formed in its modern context. But that date was Halloween, and apparently there was a wicked thunderstorm going on at the time, so that would have been awfully spooky and eerie. Anyway, I'm going to stare off into the distance real casually.